Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar. I'm Malavika, an AI engineer at navan.ai. So before we begin, I would like to start off with a little intro about navan.ai for those of you who has joined us for the first time. So we are basically headquartered in Singapore and we have partners across the globe. We help businesses reduce costs and improve their profitability by identifying opportunities for automations using generative AI and NAD. Now, every sales team dreams of spending more time closing deals and less time buried in admin work. But in reality, SDRs they spend over like 60% of their day on repetitive low value tasks, checking emails, figuring out if the leads are worth responding to, manual booking meetings, chasing unresponsive leads. It is not just boring, but it is also expensive. Like if your SDRs are worth say $50 per hour and they waste 2 to 3 hours a day on this admin work, then you're losing about $25,000 per rep per year. And then once you get like have like 5 reps, it's just a 6 digit number down the drain. Now, it could also happen that while your reps are sorting through emails, your competitors could already be on a call with that same prospect. So the speed to respond isn't just nice, but it also makes a difference between winning and losing a deal. Now, this is where an AI powered automation changes the game. Instead of wasting hours, you can have an SDR agent that reads and understands incoming emails, filters out those that are unwanted, books qualified meetings instantly, and sends personalized replies while your team focuses on conversations. So today I'll be showing you the exact SDR agent we will be building in NA10 that does all of this automatically. Now, before we jump to our automation, I would also like to point out some of the stats that revolve around the automations that we provide. So we basically build automations that deliver quality, that saves time and money. As you can see here in the list of automations, we have email hyper-personalization, inbound marketing automation, we have a scheduling assistant, we have the Reddit marketing automation, proposal generation automation, etc. Each of them will save you time, money, and contribute to increasing in your revenue. Now, let's take an example of the Reddit agent that we had discussed about recently in our webinar. It is a literal gold mine for finding leads once you have your correct keywords and this automation. People they struggle to find leads that actually have an issue, or they're stuck, or they're frustrated with a certain process or a product. So that's your time to shine. This automation that saves you so much time, it gives you a list of all the people that will need your help and can even be sorted by priority. So the best part is you can be the first ones to reach them based on how you schedule your automation. So this month, yeah, before we begin with the topic of the day, I would just like to point out that this month, navan.ai is offering three completely free consultations and audits for your company. So if you don't know what can be automated in your company, then we can help you out. Just scan this QR code and book the slot, or we'll just be sharing a link shortly in the chat box. You can just scan that also and book a slot in on our calendar. Okay, so let's before we understand the NA10 automation, before we get started with building that, I'll just cover about what is a vector database, because that is going to be the core of our automation, where we store all the company data, right? So imagine you're using ChatGPT or Gemini. The experience is impressive, but often it's very generic. It's vague. It's not tailored to your company, your data. It's mostly what's available online or what's available in public, right? They don't understand your company's policies, history, unique data, right? That's where these vector databases come in. Think of every piece of text, image, or document that you have, not just as words or files, but as compact numerical representations. Those are called embeddings. If you can see here, all these JPG, doc, MP4, MP3, they're all in numbers. They can all be stored as numbers. So this helps us in finding the similar data quickly. It searches based on meaning, not like exact keywords. When a potential customer asks you a question about your products and services, then it basically goes to your vector database, goes through all of your documents, and answers the questions accordingly. So it drops an accurate, context rich response based on your data. They empower internal chatbots, smarter search engines, and also recommendation systems that work with your own data. Answers come from your knowledge base, not just the open internet, right? So it's very personalized and it's fact based, and fewer hallucinations. Possibility of hallucinations is very, very less. So now let's understand how do we build this automation on NA10. Okay, so this is our N8N platform. This is where we build our automations. Here you have the editor. This is the editor. You have executions where you can look at the logs, the previous executions, or you can just see what went through in that particular automation, right? Okay, so before we start off with the main part, we'll be building a smaller automation. Now, like I said, we need to have the vector databases also stored somewhere, right? So I'll just show you a small preview of how it will look like. Uh, so once you have your Google Drive, on changes to a specific file, on changes involving a specific, so you have all these actions, you have all these triggers. Now you have to choose a trigger that works best uh, for your use case. So let's say on changes involving a specific folder, right? In my folder, I have all the information. So based on that, I want to trigger this for automation. And changes involving a specific folder. Okay. So I have multiple folders here, but I have it stored in sales agent. That is where I have my documents stored. I'll just come to that also and watch for. See, now you have many uh, operations options here. When file is created, it can be triggered. When file is updated, it can be triggered, and like multiple, right? So what you can do is, I'll just show you for the file created, but when you use it in production, you can have one for created and one for updated, so that you don't have to again create a new file and delete the old one, just add the new one, like that, right? So let's have this when file is created. So this just triggers whenever there's a new file that is created in your folder. Like I said, you can have another one that update, that's for update also. Now let's execute this. Right now I'm just executing it and I'm extracting the ID of that particular file. Okay, I'll just show you. This is the document. So this is the document, navan.ai sales FAQ document, that it's a dummy one. This was what is stored in the sales agent folder. So I have just basic questions about company overview, services and solutions, pricing and payment, and ROI and success metrics. So these are some of the questions that are commonly asked. You can add a very detailed one, you can have more data and all, but this is just a preview, right? So you have this. Let's come back to this. That just shows you what is in the document. So going ahead, it will be easier to understand. Okay, so now what we'll be doing is we'll be getting the ID of that. Okay, let's see. I think this is the ID that we have here. Yes. Okay. So we have that ID, that variable, and then we got that. Okay. Now what we have is we use this ID to download that. Now we have to store it in a vector database. For that, we have to extract the contents of that file, right? So what we'll be doing now is we use again a Google Drive node only, but it downloads the file. So this, go to Google Drive, we have the download file option. And here you when you're downloading a file, you have an option to select from list. by URL or by ID, which is why I have taken the ID from here. And then you drag it and you drop it, you have your ID. So now the file gets downloaded. So it's triggered when a file is created in your folder, the ID is extracted, and then it is downloaded. Now, once it is downloaded, you want to extract the data in that's present in that file, right? So we have something called extract from file. This is a text file, so we use extract from text file. Let's run this and then variable name, right? Okay, so the variable name is data, that's default, so we don't need to change anything. And then we run this also. And as you can see here, it's not something that is understandable, right? It's very confusing. But that won't be an issue because we don't need to worry about that. All we have to do is feed it into our vector database and the agent takes care of everything. Did someone have any doubt?
I think we are talking some irrelevant subject. The link what we got is SDR activity using AI.
Yeah.
Is it the same topic are we talking about?
Yes. So basically, in the SDR agent, when a customer has a product or service inquiry, they will look at your data and answer and then send the email, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm trying to just explain how that works. So we have the simple vector store and then retrieve documents as an AI agent tool. I'll just, okay. Add documents to vector store. Yeah. We have to add an embedding. We use an OpenAI embedding. I'll just jump through. Document. We have default data loader. That's all not important. And once you have these, so this basically ensures that okay, this basically ensures you're storing all that data, right? So let's just execute this, and that's it. You cannot use this in production because this is just a simple n8n vector store. It would be hard to store all that data. Now let's talk about the main agent. Once you have your data stored in a vector base, we will talk about the main one, right? So what we'll do here, first of all, is we have a schedule trigger. This runs the automation on based on a schedule, like a fixed uh, day or time or date, whenever you can schedule it as and when you want it. Yeah, that's not important, I guess. You can do it however you want. And once you got that, you have to get all the messages in your from your Gmail, right? So say I want my STR agent to check the inbox every 1 minute. So I can use a schedule trigger or I can have a Gmail trigger also. Let's get many messages. Yeah, we have that. We have get many messages and we can add a filter as well. Received after. Uh, Received after 13th August. We can say that. And then we execute it. It will just take some time. So we have multiple messages that was received since yesterday. Now what we'll be doing here is we will be extracting the format, like we'll be extracting the from address from this. As you can see here, it's kind of not something that you would understand, right? Because there's a like expression here. So you want to extract just the email ID. So you just write a piece of code. Again, you don't need to remember that. You can take help from Claude if necessary to write down the code. All you have to do is you have a piece of code that helps in extracting the email from this expression. So once you execute that, as you can see here, you got the email ID, right? And yeah, once you got the email, basically the from address, I'm executing the from address, getting the from address from here. Once we have the from address, we will get the entire thread of the email also. Okay, what we will be working with is that, so already from another email ID, I have sent myself an email that says, okay, hi, I would like to know about your ROI metrics before going forward, right? So if there is an email, if a customer is requesting for that, we have to get the data, right? From our database, we have to get the data, make our AI agent give a prompt such that our AI agent is able to understand what it has to reply. It will search your company data and reply according to that. So again, before going forward, we'll just have to filter out, make sure we are having only inbound emails and not outbound. Okay, let's see. We have from is not equal to. So that just makes sure that, yeah. So that will make sure that we have only inbound emails and not outbound, right? So once we have that, we'll get the whole thread of the email and we rearrange that and we merge all that in a very systematic format. We are trying to get all the data. If there is a thread, like in the email, you've spoken multiple times, you have reached out to that person and all that. So for that, I'll just, probably it's going to take a lot of time. So I'll just show it to you how it works. I think that would be better if you have a look at this. What I'll be doing here is yes, I have this. Let's use the tidy up so it's kind of easier to, okay, it's not, yeah, yeah, okay. So what I'll be doing here is once I've filtered out the inbound emails, I'll get the whole thread of the email, make like rearrange them so that it is in a more readable format to feed into the agent. And that's all. Let's just execute this and I'll in this just in case. Let's stop that. Just to make sure it doesn't take a long time. Once it executes, I can just show you what I mean. Okay, so as you can see, it's a lot of emails. So what I'm doing here is I'm getting the whole thread of the email. If there were discussions before that, I'm getting all of that and I'm rearranging them in this way. This is a long piece of code. You don't need to remember. We'll be sharing the code as well, the JSON file. All you have to do is you have to download it on your Anytime platform and you will have that, right? So as you can see here, multiple emails are there here and uh, come all like different sets of email threads. So I have merged all of them. I have got it in a more concise format, readable format. Now what I'll be doing is I'll be classifying if it is a sales email or not. As you can also see here, what I've done is this is an edit field node that gets my from email, that gets the thread ID and the message ID. Going forward, it will be easier if we have the thread ID and message ID also, because when we send an email as a response to that, then it is easier like to understand like which thread they have to reply to or which message the email has to be replied to, right? Now we'll decide if the new email is a sales email or not. We'll use it. It's going to take a lot of time. So I'll just show it to you. I guess that would probably be a better option. Let's like focus on how the outcome turns out. Okay, once we have this. Okay, so as you can see here, out of this, I have 4 items here. Now, what I told is this node will decide if it's a sales email or not. If it's not a sales email, we don't need our agent to work to respond to that emails, to put in a lot of effort into that, right? So what I have told is you work at navan.ai, you're responsible for categorizing inbound emails as sales emails or not. So this agent classifies the email, okay? It's a little not an elaborate prompt, just something very simple. Okay, so I'm asking it to say what its decision is it a sales email or is it not a sales email, right? All I have to do is just give a prompt and it will decide that. And yeah, we have given the model here. You can use GPT 4.1 mini, 4 mini. You just have to click here. You have all your options. Once you got that, you have your sales email or not decided. If you'll execute this, it's executing, as you can see here. Just give it a while. Okay, let's execute from the beginning. When the data of the execution becomes too large, when you execute just one node, it won't work. You would have to begin from the start. So you also have to make sure that if there are nodes that require credits, so you pin them while you're testing it out so that you don't use a lot of them, right? So let it decide if it's a sales email or not. It'll just take a few seconds. Yep. Okay. Decide if it's a sales email or not. Yeah, this is a sales email. Okay. And okay, there are 4 items in the list. Accordingly, it chooses. So once that is done, what we'll be doing is we'll be reformatting the emails and sorting them out. Okay, let's get to that also. So we'll have an if node. We'll first loop through each of them and then we'll sort them out. Let's limit it to 1 for now because I don't want multiple emails, right? Let's limit to 1. And after I have that, what I'll be doing is I'll have an if node to decide if it is a sales email or not, right? Because if it's not a sales email, then I don't need to go ahead. Uh, let's execute this. I think it might ask us to execute from the beginning. Yeah, it does. Okay. Let's just stick to one example. It's probably taking too much time. Let's execute this. Okay, that was pretty fast, right? So we have that, and then we have this. We have something called the decision here, right? This decision, the variable, decides if it's a sales email or not. So you drag and drop it. If it is equal to the value sales, what I've given there, then only I'll go ahead. If it's not, then I won't go ahead. So once I decide that yes, it is a sales email, it will come as true. Let's see if this executes or okay, it executes. Yeah. As you can see here, since I limited it to only one email, the execution memory that it has reduced by a lot. So we don't have to worry about running the whole thing again. So I just executed this node and I got the output. I didn't have to do it from the beginning. So once we have that, now I have to reformat these emails. Like say, I approached that client. I ran a whole campaign. There were like 2, 3 emails exchanged. I sent it to them, and then they responded. So I want my AI agent to get a feel of what it was like, the context of the email was before, right? What I approached them with about the client, information about the client, and etc etc. So for that, what I'll be doing is I'll be having a small agent that classifies the emails and it reformats them into 2 variables. One shows the current email and one shows the summary of all the previous emails in the thread, right? So again, I will just get that part here. Output parser. Let me just have that. We have the basic LLM chain. You can use an AI agent as well. I just want to use basic LLM chain for this purpose and define below. Now for this prompt, like I said, what I'll be doing is I'll show you how it works. I have this prompt here. I want an output format also. I'm selecting that. We'll get to what it will be in a little while. So what I'm telling is you're an inbox manager and a new email has been received in your inbox. The emails are given to you in JSON string formatting. Now your job is to reformat this for your manager. Now you must identify the newest email which was received and etc. etc. I'm asking it to divide it into two variables, like I said. And then the other will be the summarization of all the previous emails in the thread. Sometimes the email thread will not contain any previous emails, and in that case, we just leave it empty. So I'm giving it a very detailed prompt, telling it as to how it has to perform and what kind of output it has to give, right? So we have that. Let's choose the OpenAI model. You can choose other model also. I am just going with OpenAI model right now. So we have that. And coming to our output parser, we always go with the structured output parser. It's much easier. You can choose the list one also, but I think most cases a structured output parser is better because you can define the type of your output variable, the description, and like however you want, right? So once we have the structured, we use define using a JSON schema. And let's see what the output is. Let's see. So I have this. So I have two variables here, which says new prospect email and previous emails. As you can see here, you can give the type, you can give the description, what that variable defines. So now once we have that and we'll execute this, we'll be able to understand as to how it is, right? Output. Let's execute this. And we have that. Now, if the email, now we have defined that it's a sales email. Now, what if they are asking to book a consultation? They don't have a product inquiry, but they have a consultation. So you have two kinds now. You have either a product inquiry or you have a booking a consultation or say you want to send availabilities to them. So normally an SDR, a sales development representative, would be in charge of dealing with customers, making sure their queries are answered and making sure that we book a consultation with them. So that's exactly what we'll be doing here. We'll be first trying to figure out if it's a sales email or a calendar email. If it's a calendar email, already during our previous webinar, we discussed upon appointment scheduling assistant. So in that case, you can use that same thing or you can just modify it however you want. But yeah, okay, so we have this. We have the calendar email here. Now, as you can see here, the new email was just received. Here is the new email. Here is the summary of the email. We have all that. Uh, let's have this. Let's define the output. Yeah, we have the output structure. Let's unpin this. Let's execute this. Model subnode. Oh yeah. You can attach the same node. So I can just drag and drop this and then execute. Let's see how it performs. Yes. Yeah, as you can see here, calendar type boolean description false. What the output parser here defines is that if it's a calendar email or not. If it's not, it gives us false. So it's not a calendar email since I didn't ask to book a consultation. I'm asking about their ROI metrics. I want that information, right? So we have our email agent that will give us an email draft, and then we'll also have human in the loop to make sure that the emails are right, or if we want to have any changes in that. We'll be using Telegram for that, just for your information, because it has the option for human in the loop. If you don't want that, even you can work without that. If you have that confidence in your AI agent, then you don't need to like use the human in the loop option. Okay. So now after you have segregated it into a calendar and an email, you will have an AI agent. So this AI agent will be using this prompt. Now this agent will use a lot of credits. not credits per se, like tokens, right? Because getting the data from the vector database, it has to convert into readable format, and then it has to understand that, it has to draft an email and all that. So everything will be giving in this prompt here. Now I'll just get this. So we have this prompt here. Again, we'll be defining an here's the email thread. Okay, let's get this. New prospect email, right? And here's the summary of the thread, previous email summary, drag and drop. So this is basically the user input. What all the user takes as the input, that is what is given here. And once we have that, we will be using a output format also, right? Let's define that. Before defining that, you will have a very detailed system message. System message is the prompt that you are giving to your system. Okay. So now you work in the sales team at navan.ai, which is a generative AI and computer vision solutions company. This is a very old one, so which is why it's a little different. So what I'm giving it is I'm giving it a tool which has all the information, a RAG database where all the information is stored. I have the instructions and I have all that information. So what I'm telling it is, based on that information and based on the input email that you have received, draft an appropriate response, right? Uh, Once we have that, let's attach OpenAI's GPT 4.1 mini. That's default, so you can leave it at that if you don't want another one. And after we are done with that, now we will be using the simple vector. Yeah, as you can see here, it's a simple vector store, right? Vector store key. Now each vector database that you store in N8N will have a key. If you can see where we had created, the memory key that we have named is vector store key, right? So that same variable we will be using here so that the agent understands which data it has to look at. Let's go here and we'll be using this. Okay, and include metadata. We have to add an embedding. Now embedding is like OpenAI's model where we embed them in a vector database, right? Now let's see if we are done. Include metadata. Okay, let's include the metadata also. Okay, we have done that. We have done with OpenAI. Is there anything remaining? Yeah, we forgot the output parser. So let's check as to what output parser has to be given. So you have defined your output parser. In that you have your email body, you have your escalate option, you have reason, you have all these different variables, right? Now this might seem a little confusing based on how it is structured, but I'll just run this so that it will be easier to understand. Again, use the tidy up option if it feels very messy. Now, as you can see here, it is kind of more clear. Now let's execute this and see what our agent does based on the input email. So now it is going through the vector store. Okay, it has executed. And now, as you can see here, it has an email body. It has a reason for why it gave that particular answer, and if it has to be escalated. For example, if that person asked a very crucial question for which we don't have the data, and it has to be escalated to the actual human, right? Or if it's a very important client, and in that scenario, if they want to escalate it, and that case we have this escalate variable. Now, as you can see here, in my email body, I have thank you for reaching out with your question about ROI metrics, except like etc etc. We have that according to the data present in that document. It has drafted the email according to the query, right? And a summary of the information that it found as well. So that's it. That's how it basically works. That's how we are able to connect a vector database. Now, there are multiple vector databases also. This stores very minimal information. But apart from n8n, as you can see on the right side, we have all these vector stores. So you can attach that. And once you have your n8n deployed on your server, you can have all that information stored in your vector database connected to your agent so that it is able to look through that and answer accordingly. Okay. So now once we have your email done, we'll be using, let's see, email body, reason, escalate, email body, reason, escalate. Yeah. Let's have mm, the Telegram agent now. Now, the Telegram agent is kind of tricky, like tricky in the sense you have to create an account. So Telegram has an amazing option where you have bots. Like you can create bots in that. I'll just show that. Let's head to first Telegram option. I have already, let's go there. Should we send and wait for a message? Yeah, we have this send message and wait for response. So what this does is basically it sends an email and wait for response. If you don't want that, you can always choose send message, or if you're quite unsure as to the email is correct or not, you can add a verifier agent also. So that is something extra. You can add a verify agent that you can prompt it according to whatever you want so that it makes sure goes through that email and make sure it matches the data and it's all correct information, right? Now, we have our Telegram here. We'll be sending out the email draft. The chat ID is basically in Telegram. I think I would have to show that page as well. So, by the way, in Telegram, you have something called, just a second, I'll just, okay. Yeah, as you can see here, this is the Telegram, web Telegram, right? In Telegram, if you want to connect your AI agents there, you have an option. This might sound funny, but actually there's something called a bot father. Now, what bot father does for you is that it will help you create your own agents that you can talk to. Now, I start and I want to create a new bot. So you can do that. So that you can name the bot whatever you want, that will be yours. You will also have an access token for each of the bots, which you can connect to your different platforms like an API key, and you can work with your Telegram, right? Now that's an example. That's what I've used, an access token. So I created my own bot. As you can see here, I was testing it out. So all these, I created my own bot, Swift bot. You can name it whatever you want, and you create your own bot, and you get a access token. So once you have the access token, you have your own bot, and then you get the chat ID also. You can ask the bot further for the chat ID, and you will get the chat ID as well. So once you have the chat ID, you have to put that here. Right now, I already have my chat ID here, which is my bot's chat ID, right? I have that here, and I'll be using the message. It's kind of a detailed prompt. It's a little structured, as you can see here. We can work with this as to why it's on an error, right? So as you can see here, we have the prospect's email, action, replying to the previous emails, the customer email, the draft email, the reasoning. So this is basically when you send to the human. If you want send and wait for response mode, you want to understand, want to have a context as to what were the previous discussions, what went on, and what is the current inquiry, and how the agent has replied to. All that information will be there here, right? And so let's get that prospect. Where did we have our, let's check. Yeah, we have a from email here. Action, replying to email. The previous emails are here. They were here. The previous emails are here. We have the customer's current email here. We have the draft email that was just generated by our email agent. We have the email body here. If you can see, it's a more detailed prompt. I mean, that wasn't very clear to look at. As you can see, hi Malavika, thank you for reaching out with your decision question about ROI metrics at Navan AI. We understand, etc., etc., etc. And then I also asked it, could we schedule a time for a consultation this week? Please let us know your availability, right? So I'm asking to book a consultation also. I'm doing everything. This agent does everything. And then for the reasoning also, you have to get this and you can drop that. That's all. We have corrected everything and we have sent and response type approval, and then we execute this. So now it's waiting for input. Let's go to Telegram. I'm sharing this tab. Yeah, I am sharing this. So now, as you can see here, I got this today. I have the prospect, I have the previous emails, I have the customer email, I have my draft email that I'll be sending, and the reasoning also. And we can copy and edit this message also, or we can just approve it or decline it. What I'm doing right now is I am opening it and I'm approving. Okay, let's. Okay, I think let's come back to this. Yeah, I've approved that. And so as you can see here, it says approve. That's all. After that, you have to add an Gmail node and you can say reply to message, or you can say, actually that is the only option. You say reply to message. As you can see here, we have the message ID, which is why in the beginning I had got that. I am not quite sure where in between this we have that. Yeah, we have the message ID here. We got the message ID. We'll be replying. Email type, let's leave it as this. And yeah, we have the email body, which has been approved. If it was not approved, then we can edit it and send it ahead also. That will also change. So once I execute this, the email will be sent. That's it. Let's wait. As you can see, it has been sent. So now, like if it was about sending availabilities or booking a consultation, here you can add a node that is an if node, like you have seen here, an if node, and then ask it like here. Yeah. After this, you can have an if node here that says that if this type boolean, like if this description, if it's true, then we'll have another agent here, which will be the calendar agent that we discussed during the previous webinar. You can just attach that. Now I understand that this is only part of what an SDR agent does, but this is a huge automation because you don't need to do anything. It takes care of uh, earlier we only had booking consultation or just sending availabilities. This agent has an added advantage of even able to answer from your data, no matter what kind of inquiry it is or what kind of product inquiry it is, whatever they want to know about your product, it will be able to smartly answer to that question. So I guess that is the AI the agent that we have here. Yeah, you can always add to this. We can make this much bigger, much more advanced. Maybe get the information about the lead that we are replying to so that we can respond accordingly. While you're drafting the email here, maybe before that, you can add a node that is able to retrieve their information so that you can have a more personalized email that you send to them. You can even think of maybe starting a campaign. Like after this, you can attach a campaign wherein all the emails are sent like in a particular day or a particular period of time, right? So you can do that as well. So far, if you have any doubts, you can ask. Okay, so this is the agent. You, as like I said here, Instead of the file created, you can also have the update option also. You'll have two agents here, so that you don't need to again worry about that. Yeah, I think that's it. uh, before before you all drop off, I would also like to add that for the next webinar, what we'll be doing is we'll be understanding MCP. If you all are aware of the latest tech news, Model Context Protocol by Anthropic is something that's going to be an industry standard. Yeah, we'll be sharing the current webinars, Jason. We'll be adding it to our YouTube description when we upload the recording. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we'll be understanding about MCP and why it is an industry standard. We'll be understanding MCP and N8N. As of now, how we can use MCP on N8N, that's what we'll be understanding. It is going, MCP and A2A are going to be the industry standards going forward. Everybody is going to work using an MCP server. So it is very important for companies, for businesses to understand what importance it brings. So we'll be discussing about that during the next webinar. So you can register for that if you want. Here in the chat box, we have the register link. Yeah, we have that. So you can just go there and register. So if anybody has any other questions, please go ahead. Um, if anybody doesn't have anything to add, then I think Shiba, should we close the session?
Yeah, I think we can close it here.
Yeah. Does anybody want to share anything? Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for attending the webinar, everyone.